Welcome to Heart and Hammer, where we build better homes, smarter spaces, and a more inspired life. Hi, I'm Julee Ireland, architectural interior and product designer and founder of Home Renovation School. Today, I am pulling back the curtain on design, wellness, and the products that are shaping the future of how we live. From sustainable solutions to materials that are really good for you and the planet. Be sure to stick around. You don't want to miss this. We've got a great show ahead. Welcome to Heart and Hammer. Today, we're going to dive into what it means to build a design business with passion. My guest today, Rydhima Brar, is the founder and principal designer of our terior studio, known for her bold, soulful approach to design. Her journey from corporate banking to self-taught designer really is a testament to the power of passion, rebirth, rebuilding, and reinvention in the pursuit of true purpose. So I'm so excited to have you here today, Rydhima.
Thank you so much for having me, Julie. This is very exciting.
It is. Your story is just so interesting, like how you got into design. So I'd really love, and then where you came from is so interesting. I'd really like to start at the beginning with like your roots and the journey that brought you to design. So my first question to you is, how did experiencing the Gulf War at a young age impact your perspective on life, resilience, and creativity?
That's one way to start a podcast, right? With a heavy loaded, such a heavy question, but it is a big part of who I am. And so a little bit about me, I'm born and raised in Kuwait in the Middle East. My parents are still there. For me, when it comes to, when I think of home, that's home. Indian by origin, Indian by heritage. So I have family in India as well, but, we've been shuttling between the two growing up. And so going back to being involved and just experiencing the war at that age, I was about 6 or 7. So trying to even comprehend and understand what's happening was just, it was not even something I could understand. But I just knew something was not right and that everything was shut down. We were at home. We were under curfew. Dad was home. Mom was home. Nobody was working. Schools were off. But at the same time, there was no freedom for a little bit because we had to follow certain rules and regulations to stay at home. We could only leave the house a certain time, come home a certain time. So just to understand what the concept of war was different to understand, was hard, so to speak. And it just, a big part of that whole, I think probably from that age itself, it's somehow I've approached everything when I see my parents, how they handled it, and as a family, how we handle things together. Everything was one step at a time, one day at a time, just because there were every element and aspect was unknown. So are we staying here for a while? I don't know. Are we all going to get on a ship and, travel to India for months on end? But at that time, they were only letting women and children go. So my mom was like, I'm not going anywhere. This is pre-cell phone, pre-all that. So you could get on a ship and, you don't know when you'd be making it to India or wherever you're going. So my mom that way was very strong and bold about a few things where she's like, I'm not leaving. Like, we're staying together as a unit, no matter what, live together, die together, but we're all here as a unit together. And my dad, and so that was that, and that's it. We were just there for a couple of months, actually. And so just, experiencing that and then making it to India, we stayed there for a couple of years. And then when Kuwait opened up again, never thought we'd be going back, but my dad was itching. He was itching to go back.
Yeah, that's where you're from.
We're from there. It's home. It's familiar. And it's in pain. So after a lot of back and forth and discussions between my parents, my father decided to go first, which was a good time in a way, post-war in the construction space. There was a lot happening. And by the time I ended up there, which was about a year and a half later, when they started the visas for the family members and things. So they weren't even issuing visas for families in the beginning. So a lot of those types of hurdles that we jumped through. Finally got there. It was very different. It was home, but it was different.
Right.
Things were looking different. Things were feeling different. A lot of the things I knew were not there anymore. A lot of the things that I had seen growing up were either damaged or they were trying to rebuild. So that was the whole experience of just trying to understand, that feeling of rebirth, so to speak, or rebuilding, reinventing.
Right.
It was just, and even me as a person, when I left, I was 6 or 7. I came back, as a preteen, and my personality had changed a little bit. Who I was different, and trying to go. And I went back to my same school, same group of, everything was the same that I went back to, but it was different. So it is in general, just with that as my foundation. Every aspect of my life, that has been a big milestone or a turn of events.
It's made you, I think, probably very just resilient,
yes.
right?
Resilience is one thing that comes.
Yeah.
I don't, at the moment, I don't feel it. I'm like terrified and freaking out. But when I turn back and look, I'm like, I was resilient. At least
Wow.
I held it.
Yeah.
Together.
So I know you had shared with me that you moved to the US in 2000. What were your biggest aspirations then? I mean, did design play a role in your dreams at that time?
Absolutely not. There's no design in my dreams.
Right.
No design in my dreams at all. Again, being from the Middle East at that time, things have changed now. But at that time, we had schooling up until 12th grade. And then for college education or any other postgraduate studies, so to speak, there weren't many options there. So again, you just grow up, think this as you're growing up.
Yeah.
That, once I'm done with my 12th grade, we leave. I'm going to be a different country. I'm going to be somewhere else doing my undergraduate studies. So the world is an oyster. It's like friends ended up in India, in UK, in Australia, Canada, everywhere. So for me, it was the US. My sister was already here, so we have some family here. So it was kind of preemptively decided US. But when I came here, it was from again, very, very traditional Indian family. So it was either lawyer, doctor, lawyer, medical line, engineering line, or computer science, those 3 to 4 very, very stable careers.
Yeah.
And so my sister went down the path of engineering. I saw that and I knew that was not me for sure. And so for me, it was it was the path of business administration.
Right.
So I came here with big dreams and goals of doing business, finishing my degree in business. I majored in finance and marketing. And as time went, I wanted to join one of the top 5, investment banking firms.
Yeah.
In New York City. That was the plan I was working towards.
That is amazing.
Yes.
So how would you say that the different cultures that you've experienced have really influenced your design today?
Immensely. Because, you get exposed to different cultures, different people, different languages. In Kuwait, I was an expat. I mean, I was local, but I was an expatriate.
Yeah.
There were several expatriates there, and that's how we built community there. Even though we were all from India, we were all from different parts of India. And everybody has different cultures, traditions, things. Then you have the Arab community. Then you have the American community. There are so many different communities right there. So in general, I was exposed to a lot of different people and different festivals and things from a very younger age. Came to the US, a whole different experience. That was a very sheltered experience. This one is all me. I'm trying to figure things out on my own, trying to be a good judge of character of do I want to be friends with this person? Do I not?
Right.
Or just trying to understand what's normal here in the US, what is not, so that I can assimilate, but at the same time not lose myself. And then again, lots of stories that come from there too, So I did my undergraduate studies in Buffalo. So I went from the deserts of the Middle East to the coldest city in the US.
Oh my God.
And
you're like, snow, what's that?
What is that? Literally, what is that? I was very excited my first snow. And then by my third year, I was just like, why did I do this?
Right.
No, but good memories of snow. But my very first roommate, she was from Brooklyn. She's an African American. I had for the first time, I was in proximity with somebody like that I had no idea about, like culture, background, their stories. She was the scholar. She was there on a scholarship, and such an amazing friend. Like, we became very good friends.
Yeah.
But you have all these weird ideas in your head about what to expect. I don't know. So right off the bat, when I'm by myself, when you talk about different cultures, communities, the whole you cannot have a preemptive, like you cannot be judgmental about certain things. You cannot have that. You have to explore it.
Yeah.
And over time, from undergrad to going into full-time corporate world to then moving, what it has taught me is to just be very open to just accepting and learning and understanding and reading what the other person is all about, because you'll be amazed by the stories and amazed by the things that make them or break them.
Yeah, I feel like in what we do in design, we are storytellers, right? So I think you having that in your background, being, all these experiences have really helped to shape you. And now I'm even understanding and knowing your design style, like how colorful it is. I feel like you've lived, it sounds like, just a very colorful life, and you've been exposed to a lot of things. I can't imagine being exposed to a war situation, but I can see that in your work.
And there's that phase in the early part of your life when you as a teenager, or you're moldable, you're absorbing, and that's when you see, so you're trying to understand different styles, you're trying to understand different cultures, different everything, and you're trying to absorb, and all of that just stays with you in different ways, and it comes out in different ways. And so now in design, depending on my client who I'm speaking with, there are so many references I'm able to make, in terms of there's so many stories I'm able to tell just in general about, when I was in Kuwait or Middle East or India, or when I was, in Buffalo doing my undergrad, or when I was in corporate career, like the types of people I've met, there's always a reference point for me to go back to, which helps.
Yeah, that's awesome. I want to talk a little bit about embracing change and like reinvention, because I mean, to me, it blows me away that you went from corporate banking, when I learned that about you, from corporate banking to like this amazing, well-known designer. It's like, it's incredible. Most people would not think that a banker can pivot to the design level that you've pivoted to. And I know you're self-taught and everything too. So you have pivoted multiple times in your career. What gave you the courage, like, to really take these leaps into the unknown?
So within the corporate environment, when I started, at that point, it was just the rules and regulations of the country, to be honest. Visas. It was as simple as I have to be on an H-1B visa, which means I need to have this skill set so that a company will want to hire me. And so you always have to stay up to date with the, with whatever programs, softwares, technologies, anything that's up and coming in that space, you have to stay up to date. Because otherwise, why else the company is trying to make a case for why they want you.
Yeah.
So you have to prove them. It has to be proven time and again. So in that phase, that is just survival. That was just pure survival. And from day one. And then as you start understanding the corporate environment, then you start trying to figure out, what line do you want to pursue? Maybe 10 years from now, I want to be a marketing director, or do I want to be in finance, or I want to be in treasury? Mind you, this is right out of college. I have no idea what I'm even like.
Right.
I
Yeah.
have no
You're
idea.
Just following the path.
You're just following the path,
I need to go here.
wherever it's leading me and taking me. So in keeping that in mind, every step was new. And it was more about either I say yes and give this a try, or no and I lose the opportunity. So that, I guess, just put it in training in a way, where it's like, okay, now this job opportunity is opened up in this team and they're looking for this. You fit that.
Yeah.
Do I know the job? No. but you fit the overall thing and you can learn it. You can pick it up. You're smart. You can pick it up.
Yeah.
So a lot of my earlier days were driven by that in terms of, and that is something that they were looking for in terms of, especially in the corporate environment. Do you speak well? Do you represent yourself well? Do you, the confidence, the personality? Because the technical stuff can be taught. So, I was definitely data analytics, marketing analytics. Anybody's listening to this, they'll know what I'm talking about when I say SAS, SQL coding. I did all of that.
Wow.
But that was all taught. And then the presentation part came when I was presenting my findings to senior executives.
Yeah.
And so that was where the point of convergence happened for me. And as I was going through every phase, every job opportunity, everything that came my way, or if I went looking for something, that's basically how it happened. I knew some, I didn't know some, I made it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of people have a lot of fears of starting over. And I think that is definitely something that I admire about you. And, even my story too. I, like you, have reinvented myself many times. I feel like I've lived 9 lives, every day.
Exactly. And it just, there comes a point where you just, it's something new. It's, the younger you are, it's more terrifying, but the older you get, it's, some part of that fear, something changes where you're just like, I'm just going to do this. If it works, works. If it doesn't, I'll figure something else out, and you just have to have that tenacity. Yeah. And as long as that goal, vision is there. So when I decided to completely leave all of this behind to, jump into design and do something that I thoroughly loved, enjoyed doing, it was definitely terrifying. I mean, you're leaving a cushy 6-figure salary job, to start.
Yeah. What gave you the courage to do that, though? I want to understand, and I know our viewers do too, this is a big pivot. This is
very big pivot.
I'm corporate banking in New York, and now I'm going to design beautiful houses. Yeah. That's just not something you just walk right into. So I'm curious, really, what gave you the courage to do that? It's just not something that most people can do. It's a whole different skill set to be able to, one day you're banking and then the next day, oh, I'm going to design. How did that happen for you?
So growing up, there was always, there has been this artistic side or creative side, so to speak. It's always been there. I was an artist. I learned a lot of different crafts to do just growing up in school. Any science projects, any major projects, I would be the one with the most creative, projects to show, or use weird things, weird materials to come up with. I would use actually a lot of my, I would go to my dad's office and use some of his samples, for some of my science projects and weird things because they had different textures and things like that. So
Wait, what did your dad do? Did he have something to do with...
He was in the construction space as well.
So you were exposed to construction
indirectly, yes.
Oh,
indirectly
okay,
construction, but he was on a nitty-gritty. He was like job sites, like general contractor type construction, not the the post, the pretty stuff. But even then, yes, I was exposed to construction, job sites, things being built. Because after they were done, he would take us. He's like, "Oh, this is the one part that I worked on."
Oh, that is so cool.
At the time, it was very boring. Now I think it's very cool.
Yeah. Back then, you're like, "What? This is like dirt and some."
He's like, "This is the expansion joint that I got, and it had all of these complications. We had to make these tweaks and changes to make it work." What is an expansion joint? I don't know. Do I care for this? Yes, we do. Well, but things like that. So the creative side was there, but there was never a career, or at least in my mind, there was no.
You didn't see
there was no path
then.
in that creative side, and so I did all. I just had all these different passions. I danced. I won intercollegiate competitions dancing. I did art. I had all these outlets, creative outlets. And so the dream always was, I wish I could find something that could have both. But it never happened because I was in corporate America and I had to survive.
Sounds like you were following the path that like you said, culturally, you need to do X, Y, and Z.
That's it.
Design's not in there.
Design's not in there.
It's not like, oh, you're going to, go to design school. Yeah, we would
No,
love that.
because
Yeah.
I didn't even know design school existed. I didn't
Yes.
even realize there was a
Yeah,
degree,
you're
there
raised,
was a
like-
path. To me, the closest thing to that was architecture. That was the closest thing to being in that. And that was just not, I don't know, it was never encouraged. The architectural side of things was just never encouraged. Oh, maybe try that. It was more the bankable careers.
Yeah. So Rydhima, I didn't know that we also shared the dance thing in common. So we need to go to dance class together.
We have to do that. I did Bollywood dancing. What did you do? I did
You
traditional. I did
Oh my
Bharatanatyam.
gosh, you did? I want to learn
Bharatanatyam.
Bollywood dancing.
My foundation is Bharatanatyam, traditional Indian dancing, and then from there Bollywood dancing to now
Oh my
mishmash
gosh.
of everything.
Well, I've not done that. But oh my gosh, I would love to learn it. So I would
There's-
go to a Bollywood class.
Let's
with
do
you.
it. Let's do it.
I love hip hop.
There you go.
Like,
So hip hop was when I started undergrad. That was a whole new world for me.
Especially in Brooklyn. You get
I mean,
a lot of hip hop
Buffalo,
in Brooklyn.
Buffalo, in Buffalo,
Oh,
in the
yeah.
clubs of Buffalo.
Oh
like,
my God.
Like if you see hip hop, you're like, what is going on here? So that was a whole different, different time. But it was
Wow.
fun. So yes, dancing a big part. Art a big part.
Music, right?
Music a big
Because
part.
I feel like dancers, like music is just part of it, right? We
Music
have
is
to have
part of it.
music, whether it's in our head,
In your
and we're
head,
dancing
rhythm,
to ourselves
again,
or whatever.
the rhythm,
But,
the way things
yeah,
work.
like your name, Rydhima.
Yeah. My father, my dad is very much into Indian classical music. So I've
Wow.
growing up, I've heard, we've been to those concerts, Indian classical concerts, where you see these
Wow.
legendary players playing,
Yeah.
the sitar or the tabla and all of this. I've seen those. So it's all been there. There was just, the ingredients were there. There was just not the right path,
Yeah.
Like I was just not finding that point of satisfaction. And so fast forward, I had to take a year and a half, 2 years off of corporate. I stopped completely because of my older daughter. I have two daughters, a 7-year-old and an almost 3-year-old. Both of them are preemie girls. And so the first
wow.
one was very preemie. And so just a big life changing moment, unexpected,
Right.
fully.
Yes.
So with that came taking a sabbatical from work, staying at home, focusing on that because I had no idea what was going to happen with her.
Yeah.
Talk about pivot and changes. That was
That's
one of those.
right.
On
Yeah.
a personal level, that was one of those where one day everything is fine. You have your job, you're doing, everything is good. And suddenly you're like, I'm home. I'm not leaving this thing ever.
Yeah.
Like I'm not blinking. But around that time, of the first 6 to 8 months were different. But in time, as she was getting better and she's healthy and she's fine, but in time, as I was getting used to all of that, I was also decorating our own home, and
okay.
I didn't think I was decorating my own home, but it was more like trying to finish things up. I don't like that
Yeah.
corner. I don't like this. I don't like that. So and then her nursery, which I did not get to do because she was preemie. So I did her entire nursery after the fact.
Wow.
So with a lot of mixed emotions, but I did it. I did it. I'm like, so what? Who cares? And I kind of did her nursery. So it became my place of happiness. Just going through catalogs, furnishings, colors, patterns.
Right.
It just became a happy place for me to go to. It honestly started with that. There was this whole phase of PTSD and postpartum depression, but then this was the part that sort of kept me going because it just made me happy. And with that was the involvement of color. I went and painted every room in my house a different color. I didn't want the whites anymore. I wanted my house to be such that if I walk into the room, it makes me feel
And we both know
a certain way.
as designers, that's what we do.
Yes.
Color has
Plays
the
a huge
ability
role.
to change your mindset. It's so
Mindset,
important in
mood,
design.
everything,
Yeah.
everything. So it
Yeah.
started with just like when I experienced that on my own in my own house. It was a very different moment, for me to realize. And then as I was doing this, I started to get encouragement from friends and family to be like, maybe this is something you should
Yeah,
consider.
they're like, wow, this looks great. Can you come do this at my house?
This looks great. I was getting compliments like, this is out of a magazine. I was getting compliments asking, did you hire a designer? And so
Wow.
if I was getting that, I said, no, this is all just me, I just put it all together, being all shy. But then my husband encouraged me. He's like, there's something here you should maybe consider. And so when time came, when my daughter was doing great, it was like, all right, do I want to go back to corporate or do I want to do something else? That was the time when I decided, nope, I want to do something else. More freedom, more time. I want to be close to my daughter. Corporate life, again, it has its own challenges. And so it was from actually one of my mommy and me groups. I met an interior designer in one of my mommy and me groups, and we are still friends. But she's the one person whose door I knocked on to be like, hi, tell me about what you do.
That's amazing.
I'm interested, but I don't know where to start, where to begin.
Right. Yeah.
What does this even look like? And she was a solopreneur as well at the time. And so, we just related with each other's struggles, so to speak. And then, we decided to work together for a little bit. I worked for her. I brought my banking, project management to her because she needed help with
all
that.
very important tools for running a design business.
Which she needed help with at the time, which I said, I'm a pro
amazing.
at. I mean, I've run teams, I've launched products, and
right.
So that's that.
Yeah.
In exchange for, to teach me about design. And about design, I mean, as a business. So my first visit to the PDC, my first phone calls to requesting samples, my first...
That's amazing.
Like it started literally from there to understand what this even looks like. And then I did take a few courses to read CAD programming and the technical things just so I can,
Sure.
maintain that,
the
understand
process
and the processes.
You can't design anything without having a plan and understanding how to put it on paper.
Exactly.
And then,
so I took those technical. I tried to train myself on those things, but I just stuck to this, and I just tried to find myself in every design that I did, and that was a huge. Yeah, I became a mom and an entrepreneur at the same time.
What's so interesting that I'm learning from you that I did not know this, and we're friends, right? So it's like, but we've never really talked about it. That's how I got started in design too, was designing my daughter's
place?
Nursery.
Oh,
it was. We have parallel stories.
Wow.
It started the same way.
Same
People
way?
were like, "Oh wait, can you do that at my house?" Oh wait, oh, and I was like, "Oh, I kind of like this."
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's easy.
Right?
It makes me happy. It makes me happy at the end of the day.
So I love that. I mean, I love your story. I love that you weren't afraid to like start something new. So once you kind of worked with this other designer, and I know you said you guys are still friends today, like when did you venture off and form Terior Studios? Like,
it's amazing how sometimes all of these things are so not planned and they just happen.
Right.
And I think a lot of the big chunks of my career, my life in general, have been, wherever life has taken me. So when I was working with this designer, imagine leaving your fancy corporate job to moving boxes and organizing a sample library, right?
Yeah.
Just imagine that. And so, but I'm like, no, I'm a student. I'm going to learn this. This is where it all begins. You start from ground up.
Right.
So I put my heart and soul into it. And I also was doing part-time work with an art gallery here locally in Santa Monica.
Oh,
so between that part-time, they did a lot of corporate work. And then with her, I was doing a lot of residential. Between the two, I was like, all right, this is keeping me busy. My brain is functioning. It's teaching me different things in different ways. And then I kept thinking, I should have my own firm, but I was afraid how, what. It was on the advice of my designer friend, was like, just at least get an LLC, get yourself registered, get an LLC, get an EIN, get these things done. You don't have to do anything with them, but just get them done.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I guess I'll just do them. And I didn't even know what to call it, what name, whatever. I just came up with something. And then I did that around 8 months after that. Well, no, 6 months after that, this friend of mine, they uprooted and they moved to Hawaii. And so she was gone. She was leaving. And so I was in shock. I was like, no, what am I going to do?
Yeah, that is the higher power forcing you into it's time.
It's time.
Like,
so she was like, I'm still going to be going back and forth, but you're going to be my feet on ground, boots on the ground for the next few months. But in the meantime, you should start. It's time for you to start. And I said, oh my God, you're pushing me into this.
I love it.
And yes, she did finally with a lot of, I still remember the butterflies I had in my stomach, like I worked on my website, there's that, and just hitting that live, click,
yes,
it's live, the website
right?
is live.
I remember that.
I remember that. And then a month after I did that, the pandemic hit.
Oh my goodness.
March 2020 was when I launched my fancy website and announced that I'm doing this. And April is when everything changed. So that's how that happened. And at this point, everything shut down. I was at home. Right. And I'm like, now what am I going to do?
Yeah, now what do I do? Like,
I can't
go into people's houses to design.
You can't even go to people's houses. How are you going to do this?
Yeah.
So right there, within the first, literally first month of launching, there was a big pivot right there again. So it was about refiguring, how do I do this? This business is new to me, but how do I even do this in the pandemic? Fortunately, for some people, designers, that was a good time for business. So some people think, oh, you must have been, I said, no, I had just started out. Nobody knew who I was. I was a nobody. So, I had a Yelp page. I had a house page. I had my website and an Instagram page. That's all I had. And I'm like, what do I do with these now? How do I market these? And so, that's how it started. So it started with friends and family.
I can't even believe how far you've come. I thought that you had been doing this a little bit longer than that. That's not that long ago. Okay. The fact that you built what you built and it started really for you during the pandemic.
Yes.
It did. Girl, you need to give yourself a pat on the back. I'm impressed.
Thank you.
It's absolutely amazing because I think your design style is just, I love it.
Thank you. I think that's the one thing that I held on to was that I know I'm good at this.
Yeah.
I know I'm good at design.
And
I have an aesthetic. I have a style. People keep saying that. So that was the only thing that was a thing that kept me grounded. And everything that happened around it was figure it out. So, And so the one thing that happened at that time is I photographed my own house. Again, advice of my friend. She's like, I was like, where do I photograph my first project? But you should photograph your own house. Stage it, do what you have to do. And that's your first portfolio that goes on your website is your own house. And I said, oh, I didn't know that. She's like, yep, start. That's how else are you going to start? And then friends, family, big rooms, small rooms, whatever you can. But I was fortunate. I was very fortunate that my own project that I photographed, I was able to submit to apartment therapy,
right.
And they picked it up. And it was an online feature within the first 3 months of me launching, terior launching. And that moment was that validation of, oh my God, apartment therapy thinks this is good enough to feature and do a full home feature on their website. Validation number
validation.
one.
Yeah.
Check. And that
is amazing.
Since then, it's all been about building on that.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a degree, an official interior design degree, but I know I have that skill. I have that talent. There's something there. And that is what has kept me just, it makes me experiment. It makes me go onward and forward to be like, you know what, I have something. There is something there. I don't know what it is. People love it. My work is being featured. People want to see it. People want to talk about it. I'm a good designer. I just have to hustle and figure it out now.
Right. I feel like, because I'm a self-taught interior designer too, and we've talked about this a lot, that it really is important. Look, it's not going to come to you. Mm-mm. You have to go after it and you have to work at it every single day. And I love that about you, that you put yourself out there and you're still doing it.
I'm still doing it.
Right?
Yeah, I'm still doing it.
I submit myself to stuff too. I go on, you know, and I'll go on to Haro and I'll like help a reporter out and I'll go, oh, okay.
That
Someone
looks
needs,
interesting.
they need a designer to comment on this or that.
Yes.
It's so important, I think, for our business to build your name and your brand that you take those, you take the steps for yourself. Like you're in charge of building your brand. And
You're
I
in
love
charge.
that about you.
Yeah, you have. And at the time, it's not that I had I had a full pipeline of projects. So I had to, in order to keep myself focused that I want to do this, because that was the one thing the one fear I had was, I didn't want this to be like, oh, this is a hobby and she just took it and, you know, it's just there. No, for me, it was a very big career. I was afraid to tell my parents that I'm not going back into banking and I'm not going back to corporate.
Wow.
My mom was not
Did
happy.
you send them the apartment therapy magazine? Like,
I
so they
did.
could see that feature. Did they go, oh my gosh?
Well, not really, because to them, this is like,
they're
okay,
still
fine,
like,
you know.
like, oh,
my mom was very like, why would you leave a bank? Like, why?
Yeah.
You know, it took her, I'm in year 5 now. I think I want to say about 2 years ago, finally is when my mom has actually fully embraced, okay, she's
like,
a
wow.
designer. She's seen me, you know, get some recognition awards,
Yes.
this, that. And so now she's finally all in it. But for the longest time, no, she was like, this is a phase. You're going through a phase. And that's what I didn't want for everybody to think, you know, so you have to keep. So if business is slow, okay, what kind of marketing can I do? If marketing is slow, where can I go to find people where potentially I could find some business? It's like constant. It's constant.
Yeah. Is your business mostly like word of mouth? I would imagine people seeing your work, and then I feel like that, and that's why it's so important to submit yourself to magazines. Look, every magazine needs a feature. They need new stuff constantly. They need design advice and things like that. And that's what really helps you to build your business and your name, which then gets you clients.
Well, it was more of the, again, that was when the corporate mentality switched in, because when the pandemic hit, that was what I was trying to understand is, okay, now if I really want this to sustain, what do? I have to build a portfolio. How do I build a portfolio? I need to design some spaces and get them photographed. And these were the few things that I learned early on were, whatever the project is, big or small, hire a good photographer, get it photographed.
100%.
Get it photographed. Even if it's one room, get it photographed. I did not realize how expensive good photography was. So basically for the first year and a half to 2 years, my design fee pretty much went to the photographer because I wanted, because I was like, okay,
but that's marketing, right? You have to invest money in marketing. That's a marketing expense. And I will say this too, what I found too, is that there's a lot of people that are professional photographers, but for interior design specifically, you need a photographer that shoots interior design, lifestyle, like beautiful photos that's going to go, oh, there's too much clutter on the counter here. And then I find like I style my stuff, and I'm sure you're doing
I do.
Too.
I drive myself crazy.
You have to be there. You have to be there because it's your vision.
Shoot days are like the hardest days. You know,
they are.
The actual
They're long.
shoot days are long, and they are the hardest days because. It's no joke, and that's what I even photographing a project is no joke, and just learning. And so the real estate photography type photos versus the interior, like you said, things like that, just trying to understand I didn't even know there was, you wouldn't know the difference. Ask somebody who's not a designer. They won't know the difference. They're like, oh, it's just a room and you just took a picture. Like, no, do you have any idea how we got all of this chair? In real life, if you see, it's fully visual distortion. That chair is not where it's supposed to be.
100%. So note to designers out there, right? Like, you have to put yourself out there. If you want, I know we make it look easy. People don't even know by looking at your work that you work at it every single day like this. But note to designers, you got to work at it.
You have to work at it and ask. Yes,
don't be afraid to ask.
Very. So if I've managed to, able to afford a photographer who was way out of my limits, I'm like, I'll still make it happen. I would talk to them to be like, this is all I can do. It's my first project. Okay, don't give me 10 pictures. Can you just give me 5 pictures? But I want somebody like you to do the photos. Because in those moments, especially in the earlier days, I didn't understand angles, right? Like you know the room, you see the room, the photography angles are not something you know right off the bat. That's what the photographer knows.
Yeah.
And the photographer started to educate, saying, no, this is not the good angle. That's the angle. And I'm like, but I have all this here. And they're like, what's it going to do for the camera? What's it going to do for the picture? And you start those. So there was a lot of learning that happened on set during photography. And as I'm seeing things, how things are being done, and you ask questions, even now, sometimes I use that. I'm new to this, sort of. Can you please walk me through this?
Yeah. I think that's what I love about our industry so much, too, is that we are constantly learning. I mean, I've been at it over 25 years. I'm not going to give you the exact number.
You don't need to.
I don't want anyone to know how long I've been doing this.
Oh, my gosh.
You're going to guess my age then?
No.
But
just 15 years.
Yeah. But we are constantly learning. I don't know it all, right? I don't. And I've done many projects like you have too. So I love that about you. I'm amazed. I feel like I could also like talk to you forever.
Yes,
and there's
we
so
can
much
talk
more.
forever and ever.
There's so much more. I think we're going to have to do this again, but I want to jump in to It's Hammer Time.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. So It's Hammer Time is this fun little thing that I thought of. So I'm going to just ask you a couple questions. I want you in just a couple words, just what comes to mind, just throw it out at us. Okay. Are you ready for It's Hammer Time?
Yes, I think so. Yes, let's do it.
Okay. So what advice would you give your 30-year-old self?
It's never going to be easy. Challenge. It's never going to be easy.
I love that. What's the biggest design risk you've ever taken?
Don't second guess yourself. If you think this pattern on pattern looks weird, but if it works in your eyes, do it. Do it.
What's one word to describe your journey?
Resilience.
Yeah. What's your most valued trade secret?
Okay, I'm strong about this. It's not a one-word answer, but share designers, coworkers, friends.
On that
there is no harm in sharing your vendors, your resources, because that makes us stronger as a community. We're giving each other business, but at the same time, we can have a whole separate podcast about that. Feel free to share, because
I agree. So share. Okay, what's the best design advice you've ever received?
Best design advice I've received. How do this one?
Best design tip.
Or best design tip. It's again, it sounds repetitive, but listen to your gut. Listen to your heart.
There you go. Listen to your gut. Listen to your gut.
It's not been like a tip or an advice. It's something that I have done.
Yeah.
And every time that I have followed it, the results have been outstanding. Rather than the few times that I did listen to somebody and I changed something and then it was like I should have just done what I wanted to do. Listen to your gut.
There you go. Looking at where you're today, what's next for you, Rydhima?
There are lots of fun things lined up. I'm excited for what the future holds. 2024 ended with some very good, accolades, recognitions internationally for me.
Yes.
So that there are a few things from there that are being led in terms of conversations. I am now slowly getting into the world of working with brands and vendors and, bring brand ambassadors.
Can we give Fabuit a little wave?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Brand ambassadors.
Brand ambassadors.
Love it.
Love it. Both of us, by the way, are brand ambassadors for Fabuit right now, which is super exciting. K-Biz is coming up, so we're doing something fun over there.
Cannot wait.
So there are different avenues of the industry that I am learning and exploring as I continue to do my work and my design work. So
that's great.
There are some big dreams, hopes and dreams, but hopefully, but again, life has been such that things will pivot and I will pivot and then we'll see where I end up.
That's right. So what legacy do you hope to leave to the world of design?
I don't know about the world of design, but every time when things get really hard, I just look at my two girls and it's more about what legacy can I leave for them.
100%.
Because I don't know if if I become one of the designers where the world knows my work, that's obviously, that'll be a huge blessing. But outside of that, I just want my girls to know and see that, just because there's certain traditions and certain forms that the society had. For instance, in my case, we have doctor, engineer, those bankable careers, things like that. Doesn't mean you cannot do this.
Right.
Or if you have a creative passion, follow it. But follow it through. You cannot be haphazard.
Don't just talk about it.
Don't just talk about it.
Take action.
And don't change about it every day. Once you figure it out, once you know then you have to commit. And that commitment is what I want my daughters to take from it. And from as a legacy perspective, be like, it is the commitment. They see the commitment working around the clock. They see that, it's not easy. They come to me saying, why can't you sit for a few hours and just watch TV with us? And so those are the moments, they're the hard moments, but those are the times when I'm like, I will make this up to you tomorrow. And I try to do my best I can, or I try to tell them that this is what I'm doing right now and this is where my energy goes right now, but you will see later. And then those handful of moments that I've been able to take them and show them what I've done, those are priceless.
Those are just proud moments.
When I've actually been like, I designed this, Mama designed this, Mama did this.
That is so cool.
Those are the parts that I get, that just then makes it worth it.
Are your kids creative too?
Yes, my older one is definitely, she's in art class and she loves it. And in kindergarten and last year when they had, what do I want to grow up and want to be? She's done the whole, I want to be an interior designer. So,
oh my gosh, that's so awesome,
yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
So you've got someone to take over the business.
I'm
ready to retire.
Oh my gosh, I'm so ready.
I don't know
how quickly can they grow up? So,
exactly.
She's excited about that. And she's already conscious of, not conscious, like she knows.
Yeah.
I see her put her clothes together in the morning and I'm like, oh, you put that thing together. Well, interesting. I wouldn't have thought of that. So it's there. It's there. And I'm happy to see that, encourage that.
That's amazing. So where can people go to learn more about you?
You can go to my website, first and foremost, www.rteriorstudio.com. So it's RTERIOR studio.com. A little fun fact. I didn't want to put my name out there those days with my company because I was too afraid to be, it was brand new to put my name out there as a company. Yeah. But I wanted my R to be with me. And so it's R interiors, meaning interiors are.
Yes, I love it. I love that.
Anyway, so that's that. But rteriorstudio.com, same thing on Instagram at rteriorstudio.com. You can find me on LinkedIn as well. Same thing, rteriorstudio.com. So anywhere you do that search, most of the social channels I have rteriorstudio.com.
Okay, that's awesome. And you are such a rising star, and I've just loved having you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I've loved these questions and conversations. Some of them are very deep, so we need to continue this conversation.
Yeah, we're going to have you on again, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just thank you so much.
Thank you.
You've really taught us how your heart can really lead to just incredible places. So thank you for that.
Thank you for having me.
So for more inspiring discussions like this, please follow, subscribe to Heart and Hammer, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Thanks for tuning into Heart and Hammer. I hope today's episode sparked fresh ideas and tools you can use in your own life. If you loved it, follow the show, leave a review, or drop me a note at juleeireland@gmail.com. Whether you've got a question, want to be a guest, or maybe you just want in on all the fun. Until next time, stay curious and keep building beautiful spaces with a whole lot of gorgeous as gorgeous gets.